What's up guys, this is VinylicPuma, back with another Fallout 76 video, and today I figured I could revisit the subject I've discussed before on this channel concerning Fallout 4's lore breaks and retcons, and talk about if similar lore breaks and retcons could end up either positively or negatively affecting Fallout 76. Now, if you're pretty familiar with Fallout 4, then you'll know that Fallout 4 made some pretty big departures from the previously established lore. While I would say some of these departures, such as the total redesign for power armor and some of the weapon redesigns, were overall far more positive changes, there were other departures that were fairly controversial. In particular, before Fallout 4, it was commonly accepted that Jet was a post-war creation by an NPC named Myron in Fallout 2, only to turn up in a pre-war terminal entry in Fallout 4's Vault 95. There was even a pretty big retcon from the Nuka World DLC that made the Enclave's signature power armor from Fallout 2, aka Fallout 4's XO1 power armor, a pre-war creation as opposed to a post-war one. Despite the fact that even some of Fallout 4's loading screens specifically say, and I quote, "The XO1 series of power armor was specially engineered and employed by remnants of the United States military after the Great War, and offers increased protection over the older pre-war models." Much like the power armor redesigns, it can be argued that Bethesda ultimately retconned XO1 power armor to satisfy gameplay. After all, Fallout 4's Nuka World DLC is meant to be a high-level DLC, and features some of the game's toughest enemies and best weapons and armor. If the player got something that I suppose technically made more sense from a lore perspective, like a set of Quantum T60 armor, it would have been disappointing from a gameplay perspective. After all, T60 armor is generally inferior to XO1 in terms of resistances and durability, and considering what you have to go through to get the Quantum XO1 in Nuka World, would you really go through the trouble for another set of T60? Especially since T60 power armor is what the Brotherhood of Steel give you when you join them. At the same time, part of what makes a franchise like Fallout special and interesting to people is that it strictly adheres to a pre-established formula with both the way its story and lore work. When it comes to its story, many Fallout games start off with the player being a vault dweller that ends up having to leave the vault that they've resided in their entire life to then explore the wasteland and deal with some kind of threat. Case in point, Fallout 1 had the vault dweller who left Vault 13 to retrieve a water chip and defeat the Master. Fallout 3 involves the lone wanderer who leaves Vault 101 to find his father and then defeats the Enclave, and Fallout 4 involves the sole survivor who leaves Vault 111 to find their son Sean and bring peace to the Commonwealth. Heck, even Fallout 76 is ripping off this particular trope somewhat, with how the player characters are leaving Vault 76 to rebuild the wasteland and save the world. Now, this isn't to say that there haven't been notable deviations from this. After all, Fallout 2 and New Vegas don't start the player in a vault. However, in both cases, both games follow the story of a man or a woman on a mission, only to find some greater or higher purpose by the game's third act. After all, Fallout 2 involves the Chosen One's mission to find a Gek to save Arroyo, only to later save the wasteland from the Enclave. In the case of New Vegas, the Courier's goal is to retrieve the Platinum chip from Benny and then subsequently decide the fate of the Mojave Wasteland. So, despite some slight differences in scenarios, all of the games are very similar from a storytelling perspective. When it comes to Fallout's lore, there are certain realities established by both the series creators and Bethesda themselves that must be adhered to in order to maintain internal consistency and make the Fallout universe make sense. For example, established facts like how super mutants are the result of FEV experimentation, how T-51 power armor was designed by Westtech, or how the Brotherhood was formed by Roger Maxson are essential, and if changed, make the game world feel less like Fallout and like just another generic post-apocalyptic RPG. Lore consistency is also a big part of what keeps people invested in each new Fallout title that comes out, as they get to see how the backstory of the Fallout universe evolves over time. While small changes can be made here and there to actually enrich the lore, larger, seemingly aloof changes often result in pushback amongst fans. One great example of this pushback involved the whole controversy around Fallout 4's Kid in a Fridge side quest. Originally, it had been established that ghouls could age and also needed food and water to survive, only for us to find out through the Kid in a Fridge side quest that ghouls seemingly don't need food or water and don't appear to age at all. While it's somewhat understandable that XO1 got retconned to be pre-war to help make Nuka World better from a gameplay perspective, Kid in a Fridge barely affects gameplay at all and almost seemingly exists as a joke. And while I must admit that the situation is somewhat amusing, I think it has a tendency to detract from the world that Bethesda painstakingly created, especially for longtime Fallout fans that thought that ghouls did in fact age and needed food and water to survive. Ultimately, I think the point I'm trying to make here is that lore changes and retcons should be taken far more seriously, because they have the potential to either truly enrich the franchise or have a very negative effect on the franchise. Now, while I don't think Fallout 76 has made any major lore changes yet that we can be aware of, especially since the game hasn't been released yet, I do have to admit that there are already some pretty bizarre things that I've seen through some of the game's promotional material that don't seem to make a whole lot of sense. Case in point, if Fallout 76 is a game that's about rebuilding society after the Great War, why on earth does anyone use bottle caps as currency? One of the primary reasons currency exists is to make trade and commerce easier, and in the case of Fallout, bottle caps were originally devised as a means to represent and trade purified water by hub traders. While this has since been simplified by Bethesda since the events of Fallout 3, you could still argue that using bottle caps would make sense, as it makes trade in various towns like Rivet City, Megaton, or Diamond City easier. However, given Fallout 76's place in the timeline and how there's a general lack of civilization, it seems weird that bottle caps would be used at all. Maybe it makes sense with trade amongst different players, but how did everyone in West Virginia agree to using bottle caps as currency? Of course, in Bethesda's defense, Fallout 76 is a prequel, and maybe we'll find out why bottle caps are used as currency once the game finally releases, so maybe this isn't too much of a big deal. Something else that's kind of bizarre is the inclusion of certain creatures. While I understand Bethesda decided to include new creatures to Fallout 76 based on West Virginia folklore, part of what makes Fallout interesting is how most of the creatures that appear in the games are at least somewhat plausible and based off of real-world animals. For example, Deathclaws were the result of genetic engineering of the real-world Jackson's chameleon. Or in the case of bloatflies and bloodbugs, these creatures were likely the result of mutations that occurred in both houseflies and mosquitoes since the Great War. My fear is that Bethesda could end up taking things a little too far with some of the folklore-inspired creatures, and what we end up getting are quite a few quasi-fantasy/mythological creatures that clash when it comes to Fallout's lore and/or setting. The creature that has me concerned the most is Fallout 76's Scorchbeast, as it was confirmed in Bethesda's no-clip documentary that these creatures crawl up to the surface via ground fissures, which have to then be sealed by obtaining launch codes and firing in-game nukes at the fissures. Something like that reminds me of something that you might see in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, and just seems pretty out of place for a Fallout game. Now again, I'm willing to give Bethesda the benefit of the doubt here, and some of these things will make a lot more sense once we get our hands on the game, but I think I'd be lying if I didn't say that I wasn't at least a little bit concerned about some of these inclusions. So at the end of the day, and I guess as far as Fallout 76 is concerned, I definitely think that we could see situations where the desire to create a satisfying gameplay loop negatively affects the internal consistency of the previously established lore. After all, it's happened before with Fallout 4, with the redesigns to power armor, and the inclusion of Kid in a Fridge. Who knows what'll happen, but one of the advantages of having a spin-off for a franchise is that you can go back and you can kind of answer questions that were, I guess, sort of posed in previous titles, and then wrap up and kind of correct maybe some inconsistencies or some errors in continuity. I guess we'll see what happens, but for now, guys, I think that's going to pretty much wrap up this particular video. For my Fallout fans out there, I'm sorry it took so long to get a new Fallout video out. I had a bunch of personal stuff going on that I needed to take care of, but I believe things should be back to normal starting next week. Otherwise, guys, if you liked this video, feel free to leave a like, click the bell so you can be notified when I upload more videos, and as always, thank you all so much for supporting the channel. Take care, and I'll see y'all in the next one.